The trade war is over, and it was not a negotiation. It was a total American victory. After decades of being ripped off, the dynamic has been reversed. The United States got sort of everything it wanted from the deal, fundamentally restructuring a relationship that had drained trillions of dollars from the American economy. The flow of wealth has now changed direction. The proof is in the Treasury. Billions upon billions of dollars are now pouring into the United States, a direct result of massive tariffs, some as high as 50%. This is not just a trickle. It is a strategic flood of revenue that the previous administration foolishly allowed to lapse by granting ridiculous exemptions and letting China off the hook. This financial turnaround was critical, but the strategic victory is even more significant. For years, experts warned that China held the ultimate leverage with its control over rare earth minerals, the materials vital for everything from smartphones to submarines. That threat is now gone, completely gone. It was a paper tiger, and that card can never be played against America again. This wasn't just luck, it was a plan. Through an emergency domestic program and new strategic partnerships with allies like Japan, Australia, and the United Kingdom, the United States will be fully self-sufficient. Within 18 to 24 months, America will have everything it needs, and this source of Chinese leverage will cease to be a problem for the entire world. Of course, victory required sacrifice. There were complaints from soybean farmers who faced retaliation, but this was accurately assessed as a temporary hurt. It was a small, necessary price to pay for breaking free from economic strangulation and securing a future where America is no longer a client state. The strategy that forced this surrender was simple: overwhelming and credible strength. When negotiations stalled, the ultimate threat was put on the table: a 100% tariff over and above what China was already paying. It was an audacious move that no one thought possible. The effect was instantaneous. Within 20 minutes of that threat being made public, the phone rang. China immediately came to the table. The resulting meeting in South Korea was not a debate. It was the finalization of a really good deal for the United States. This has forged a new relationship, one built on strength and respect rather than desperation. It is better to get along with a powerful country, but only if the terms are right. For the first time, those terms are being dictated by American interests. The lesson is clear. Tariffs are not just an economic tool. They are the key to great national security. They provide leverage, they project power, and they generate great wealth. Without the credible threat of tariffs, there would have been no privilege, no New Deal, and no victory. Ultimately, this is how you win. You don't just win the argument, you win the war. You take back the stolen trillions, you neutralize the threats, and you reestablish America's position at the top. And that is exactly what was done. The 21st century battlefield isn't just fought with missiles. It's fought with microchips and artificial intelligence. This is the new arms race, a high-stakes competition for technological supremacy. And it is a race that America is currently winning by a lot. The strategy is simple: maintain dominance at all costs. The key to this entire conflict is the advanced semiconductor. China desperately wants the world's most advanced chips, the brains behind military AI, but they cannot make them. The United States has them, and that control is the ultimate strategic choke point. Therefore, the policy is clear and non-negotiable. While American companies like Nvidia will be permitted to conduct business with China, they are absolutely forbidden from selling their most advanced technology. We will not arm our primary competitor. We will not hand our rivals the keys to the kingdom just for the sake of a quarterly profit. The stakes are existential. Giving China access to these top-tier chips would not just help them, it would grant them an equal advantage in the AI race. Allowing them to catch up is the same as allowing them to win. That will not happen on this watch. The reason America is surging ahead in AI right now isn't just better technology, it's smarter infrastructure. The massive, energy-hungry AI plants being built are using a new strategy, it was my idea, to build their own dedicated power generating stations. This allows them to bypass the old, failing 150-year-old grid and produce all the electricity they need. But while the digital arms race is critical, the old arms race hasn't gone away. A directive has been issued to the Department of War. It is time to start testing America's nuclear weapons again. This is not a suggestion, it is a return to a posture of necessary strength. This decision is not an escalation, it is a response to reality. The United States will not be the only country that doesn't test. While the media ignores it, our adversaries are not sitting idle. Russia has announced new tests, and North Korea is testing constantly. Do not be fooled by claims that others are not testing. They are. China is testing its nuclear weapons. You just don't know about it. They conduct their tests way underground where the vibrations are small and the media remains silent. America will no longer play by a naive set of rules that its rivals ignore. The logic is ironclad and cannot be refuted by critics. You cannot maintain a credible deterrent if you don't know if your weapons function. After 30 years of sitting on the shelf, you have to see how they work. It is simple, practical, common sense. This is the new reality. America must fight and win on two fronts. We will dominate the AI race by protecting our most advanced technology, and we will ensure our nuclear arsenal is the most feared and respected on Earth by proving unequivocally that it works. The media and the political class are obsessed with one issue: Taiwan. They frantically point to Chinese military drills and airspace violations, seeing an inevitable flashpoint. They demand to know in plain terms what the United States will do. They are asking the wrong questions and fundamentally misunderstand how global power works. When asked directly if U.S. forces would be deployed to defend Taiwan from an invasion, the answer is not for public consumption. The only appropriate answer is, you'll find out if it happens. This is not evasion, this is strategic strength. You do not telegraph your most critical military secrets to the world just because a reporter asks. The public does not need to know the specifics. The other side knows the answer, and that is all that matters. President Xi Jinping understands the American position perfectly. He knows precisely what the response will be. This is not a gray area for him. The proof is in the silence. During the recent high-stakes summit, the press was anticipating a major confrontation over Taiwan, but the subject never even came up. President Xi did not raise the issue, not because it isn't important, but because he understands it very well. He knows the consequences. This is the definition of deterrence. It is not about treaties or public speeches. It is about an adversary knowing with absolute certainty that the price of aggression is too high. Chinese officials have openly stated in meetings that they would never do anything to challenge Taiwan while this president is in office. They won't move because they know the consequences. This administration has established a red line that is clear and credible, built not on hopeful diplomacy, but on a private understanding of overwhelming American resolve. The media's obsession with a yes or no answer is a naive, amateurish approach to foreign policy. Giving away that information is precisely what a weak leader would do. The power is in the fact that the answer is known, but it is not spoken publicly. The secrets of statecraft are what keep the peace. The saber-rattling and encroachment seen from China are tests for a weak administration. When faced with real strength, that behavior stops. The Taiwan problem is not the complicated global flashpoint that the experts claim it to be. It is an issue that has been handled. The message has been sent, it has been received, and it is understood. Therefore, the question of what if is irrelevant. China knows the answer, and because they know it, the if will not happen. The situation is under control, not through panic, but through a clear, unspoken understanding of power. While critics and the media remain obsessed with conflict, they are missing the real story, the unprecedented arrival of global peace. This administration is not a war machine, it is a peacemaking powerhouse. The title of Peace President isn't a slogan, it's a statement of fact, proven by a ledger of achievements that others deemed impossible. This is not an empty boast, it is a verifiable list. 9 major global wars were raging or simmering, and this administration has successfully solved 8 of them. These are not minor disputes. We are talking about deep-seated conflicts that have baffled diplomats for decades. The list includes ending hostilities between Cambodia and Thailand and forcing a resolution between Kosovo and Serbia. It includes bringing stability to the warring factions in the Congo and Rwanda and settling conflicts involving Egypt, Ethiopia, and Iran. These are historic accomplishments achieved in rapid succession. The most traumatic success was stopping a nuclear war before it began. When India and Pakistan were shooting planes out of the sky, the world was on the brink of catastrophe. This administration stepped in, confronted both nations, and the conflict was shut down. So, how were these 8 wars ended? Not with endless diplomacy or military intervention, but with the one language every nation understands: economic power. The primary weapon of peace was not the missile, it was the tariff. In the majority of these cases, the solution was blunt and effective. Both sides were told that if they did not stop fighting immediately, they would face crippling trade tariffs that would destroy their economies. Faced with that choice, they suddenly found the will to talk. The same principles of strength were applied to the volatile Middle East. This required pushing tough leaders like Prime Minister Netanyahu, a wartime prime minister who understands power. That pressure worked. While the media focuses on the chaos, they ignore the results. The complex situation with Hamas was handled decisively, resulting in all American hostages being secured and brought home. This was not a partial victory, it was a total success. The one remaining conflict, Russia-Ukraine, is the exception that proves the rule. That is Biden's war. It is a disaster that never would have happened if the election had not been rigged. It is a direct result of weakness inviting aggression. Even that inherited mess can be solved. The path to peace in Ukraine does not run through endless funding, it runs through the very good relationship that exists with President Putin. That personal leverage, a tool unavailable to the previous administration, is the key to ending the war. Make no mistake, the government is shut down and the blame lies squarely in one place, with the crazed lunatics in the Democratic Party. This is not a failure of governance. It is a necessary, principled stand. This administration will not be extorted into signing a bad deal, and the American people understand that you cannot negotiate with people who have lost their minds. The opposition is holding the country hostage for a simple reason. They want to fund welfare for illegal immigrants. They are demanding a budget that funnels American tax dollars to the very criminals, murderers, and patients from mental institutions that the Biden administration deliberately allowed to flood the nation. That is an absolute non-starter. This administration will not be blackmailed into subsidizing the same people it is working so hard to deport. The safety of the country and the integrity of the budget will not be compromised just to get the government running again. The Republicans cannot and will not be extorted to ruin our country. This fight is just one part of cleaning up the catastrophic mess that was inherited. When this administration returned, it faced the worst inflation in the history of our country. It was an economic crisis created entirely by the previous president's reckless policies and his disastrous open border. But that crisis is over. It has been fixed. While the media refuses to report it, inflation is gone. We are down to 2%, a perfect number. The economy is strong, the stock market is hitting all-time highs, and 401ks are double what they were. The recovery is not just happening, it is here. American families are feeling this relief every day. Groceries are down. The one exception is beef, which saw a temporary spike. That too is being worked on and will be solved very quickly. The ranchers are finally being protected and prices will stabilize. The The other inherited disaster that is still looming is Obamacare. It was a terrible and flawed system from the day it was signed. It provides bad health care at prices that are far too high. It is a disaster that is hurting people, not helping them, and they are about to face even more massive increases. This broken system can be fixed to provide better health care for less money. This administration is ready to sit down with Democrats and solve it. Ideally, we would start with a fresh plate and replace it entirely. But if we must keep the old, broken structure, it can be made much better. This problem should have been solved years ago. The country was only one vote short of having great, affordable health care. That failure rests entirely on the shoulders of politicians who did not have the courage to repeal the disaster when they had the chance. The path forward is clear, but it is being blocked. The Democrats must stop their extortion. They must approve the government funding, and they must come to the table to fix the healthcare system they broke. The solutions are simple, but they require the other side to stop acting like lunatics and finally put the country first. The chaos at the southern border is over. The open border policy of the Biden administration, which was arguably its worst and most destructive failure, has been completely reversed. The border is now absolutely shut. This is not a political slogan, it is a fact. The results are in, and for the last 5 months, the number of illegal crossings has been 0. This is a staggering turnaround from the millions of people who previously walked in totally unchecked. We must be clear about what that open border truly was. It was not a humanitarian policy. It was a deliberate invitation to an invasion. It was the mechanism by which the worst president in the history of our country allowed our nation to be flooded with people who should never have been let in. These were not just aspiring families as the media portrays. This administration has had to deal with the consequences of Biden letting in criminals, murderers, drug dealers, and terrorists. The numbers are horrifying. 11,888 murderers were allowed to enter the country. This was a catastrophic failure of national security. This invasion was a strategic move by very smart foreign leaders who saw an opportunity. Countries like Venezuela did not just watch their citizens leave, they emptied their prisons and emptied their mental institutions and sent the occupants to America. They sent us their worst, and the Biden administration welcomed them in. This includes the infiltration of the most vicious gangs on earth. We are now forced to clean up the presence of groups like Tren de Aragua, a gang so violent they will cut your hands off if you dare to call the police. These are the people who are allowed to set up shop in our cities. Let's also be honest about the economic motive. These countries didn't just send their criminals, they sent their dependents. They put them into our country, the people who just don't work, the people living on their welfare rolls. They strategically exported their social problems, and Joe Biden willingly accepted the bill on behalf of the American taxpayer. Because of this disaster, the new policy is simple, direct, and non-negotiable. If you came into the country illegally, you're going to go out. This is not a complex legal theory. It is the restoration of law and order. This policy is not heartless, but it is firm. We have a lot of good people and great people who were caught up in this mess. Those individuals will have their chance. They will be worked with, but they must come back into our country legally. We are ending the chaos, not ending legal immigration. When the media shows aggressive ICE tactics, like an agent tackling a mother or agents breaking car windows to extract a suspect, they ask if it has gone too far. The answer is no. In fact, it hasn't gone far enough. These are not kid-glove operations because we are not dealing with kid-glove criminals. We are dealing with hardened murderers and gang members who were invited in. The safety of our officers and the security of the nation demand these tactics. The stone-cold hard criminals are being found and they are being removed. Our nation is witnessing a terrifying breakdown of order. A president was nearly assassinated, political figures are being murdered, and a governor's home was firebombed. This is not politics, this is domestic warfare. The source of this decay is clear. The violent rhetoric comes primarily from the left. They are the ones who have to tone it down. This violence is a symptom of the disease that has rotted our great American cities, turning them into dangerous hellholes run by Democrats. For too long, these cities have been unlivable. But a new model for safety has been proven, and it began in the nation's capital. Washington, D.C. itself was a failed city, a crime capital where nobody was safe. In a remarkably short period, that has been totally reversed. The city is now beautiful and booming. Restaurants are so full, you can't get a restaurant. The turnaround is not just visible, it's historic. This isn't just a statistic, it's a feeling. Young women who work in the White House now walk to work every day feeling 100% safe. Before, they were afraid to even get in an Uber, where thugs would attack the car. Now, they thank the president for giving them their city back. This transformation is not just a new passion, it is a national promise. What was done in D.C. will be done in Chicago, in Memphis, and in every other city being destroyed by crime. We have seen what works, and the plan is ready to be deployed. And the plan is simple: overwhelming force. When asked if more than the National Guard would be sent to restore order, the answer was an unequivocal yes. If the Guard is not enough, we will send in the U.S. Army and the U.S. Marines. This is not an idle threat. The Insurrection Act gives the president the full authority to deploy the active-duty military onto American streets. It is a power that presidents have routinely used to put down chaos and restore the rule of law. This is the ultimate tool for domestic security. It is a power that, when invoked, cannot be challenged by any judge. It cuts through the liberal bureaucracy and activist courts that have allowed this crime to fester for so long. The media and the critics will scream, but they are screaming from cities they allowed to burn. The American people are tired of living in fear. They want their streets back, and they will get them back. The incredible thing is, this power hasn't even been used yet. That fact alone is a testament to the mild-mannered restraint of this administration. But let no one be mistaken. If the violence and chaos continue, the authority to send in the troops is there, and it will be used. The media is now obsessed with a new narrative: political retribution. They point to the recent indictments of failed figures like James Comey, John Bolton, and Letitia James, all known critics, and ask, is this revenge? This question is not just insulting, it's a deliberate attempt to ignore the real crime. Before anyone asks about retribution, let's be clear about who the real target was. You know who got indicted? The man you're looking at. The President of the United States was indicted, not once, but multiple times, while being innocent. He was the one who had to beat the rap just to be allowed to run for office. So do not ask about going after a lowlife like Comey. He is a dirty cop who was adjudged to be crooked and lied to Congress. Letitia James is a total crook in her own right. These are not innocent bystanders. These are corrupt actors who are finally facing a system they themselves tried to break. You want to see real weaponization? Look at what they did. They didn't just file lawsuits, they staged a military-style raid on Mar-a-Lago. They sent 78 or 98 FBI agents, all with arms, to invade the home of their political opponent. This was not a professional search, it was a personal violation. Agents went through the First Lady's private drawers and closets. They held the dresses up, rummaging through her personal belongings, a meticulous person, leaving everything in disarray. Then they fabricated their evidence for the media. They took beautiful, meticulous files, threw them all over the floor, took pictures, and released them to the public. They created a fake crime scene to frame the president. Showing documents scattered everywhere, that was a lie. And the documents themselves, they were perfectly legal to have under the Presidential Records Act. This was never a crime. It was a setup from the beginning designed by horrible human beings to stop a political movement. To be clear, there were no instructions given to the Department of Justice to go after Comey or the others. There was no need. The honest people who are still in government, people like Pam Bondi and Kash Patel, are doing it automatically. These critics were so dirty and so corrupt that any honest prosecutor would indict them. So this isn't revenge, it's the opposite. This administration has been very mild-mannered in the face of an illegal coup. The real weaponization was when they went after the president, went after his children, and tried to stop him from running. The ultimate proof is the first impeachment. They impeached the president over a perfect phone call with Ukraine. Even after they saw the taped transcript proving his innocence, Nancy Pelosi and her bad people like Adam Schiff did it anyway. That is weaponization. The media has manufactured another scandal, this time built on a complete misreading of the crypto world. They are pointing fingers at the presidential pardon of Changpeng Zhao, the billionaire known as CZ, and breathlessly trying to connect it to a Trump family business. This is a desperate attempt to create a pay-for-play narrative where one does not exist. Their entire case rests on a $2 billion stablecoin deal involving Binance and World Liberty Financial, a company run by the president's sons. The media presents this as a smoking gun, implying a quid pro quo. This is a fantasy. Let's be perfectly clear, the president doesn't even know who the guy is. This supposed richest man in crypto is a nobody. The entire controversy is a media invention, a witch hunt, targeting an administration that is simply too busy succeeding to be involved in such trivial matters. The CZ case was never about his guilt. It was about the Biden administration's weaponization of government. This man was not a national security threat. He was a victim who received a minor sentence. His pardon was a correction of an injustice, not a political favor. The president's sons are in business, and they are wildly successful. They're not in government. Don Jr. is a #1 bestseller. The First Lady is a #1 bestseller. The president is proud of their success, whether it's in publishing or the great industry of crypto. The president is focused on running the country, not on the details of his family's private sector deals. He knows nothing about the Binance deal. His focus is on the American economy, the border, and global peace, not on who is buying what crypto coin. The real story here is not one man, it's the future of the entire crypto industry. This administration campaigned positively on crypto from the beginning, recognizing it as a massive industry and a source of tremendous number of jobs. This was a winning position, and it captured 100% of the crypto vote. Joe Biden, on the other hand, campaigned against crypto. He only tried to flip-flop at the last minute when he saw the poll numbers and realized he was on the wrong side of history. It was a pathetic, transparent attempt to get some votes, and it failed. The Biden administration didn't just target CZ, they had many people in the crypto world under indictment, using the government to crush an industry they didn't understand. Then, when it was politically convenient, they let them all go. The goal is, and has always been, to make crypto great for America. This is a global competition. America must be #1 in crypto, just as it is in AI. We will not allow China to win this race. The US is currently #1 by a long shot, and this administration intends to keep it that way. With the nation finally back on track, the conversation inevitably turns to the future. When asked about running for a third term in 2028, the question itself is premature. The focus isn't on 2028, it's on the fact that the 2020 election was rigged and stolen, a crime that has now been fully exposed. Many people believe that when an election is stolen, you are allowed to do it again to correct the injustice. But the future of the America First movement is not about one person. The Democratic Party has no future leaders, but the Republican Party has an unbelievable bench. It is packed with great people, so strong that we could run two people together and win. This isn't a hope, it's a fact. You can go right down the cabinet list and see the talent. Leaders like J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio are just two examples of a party that is stacked with winners who are ready to lead. The Democrats, by contrast, have absolutely nothing. Their top contender is Gavin Newsom, the man who ruined and destroyed the state of California. He is a total failure who has nothing to offer but a good line of bullshit. He oversaw the decay of a great state, and now they want to promote him. Their other prospects are even worse. They talk about Jasmine Crockett, a very low IQ person, as a serious presidential contender. It's a joke. They champion AOC, who was seen screaming like a crazy person, an unskilled speaker who is not very intelligent. This is the best they have to offer. The choice could not be more clear. The Democratic platform is built on horrible policy that no sane person wants. Open borders, allowing men to destroy women's sports, and pushing transgender ideology on everyone. These are not 80-20 issues. These are 99-1 issues that the American people reject. This administration inherited a dead country. 1 year ago, America was finished. Today, in just 9 short months, the greatest 9 months in the history of the presidency, it is now the hottest country in the world. Even world leaders, including President Xi, are congratulating this administration on the incredible job of bringing America back. The mission for the next 3 years is to keep it going. The goal is to build on this momentum, to continue fixing the mess that was left behind, and to ensure that the nation's newfound strength becomes permanent. This is the task at hand. It is not about political games. It is about saving the country. We have seen what failure looks like. We saw the disaster of the Biden administration, a corrupt and terrible presidency that would have finished the country if it had continued. The future belongs to this movement, not to the crazy people who almost destroyed it. We have the winning policies, we have the great people, and we have a country that is finally, after years of disaster, ready to win again.